What is up, you guys? And welcome back to the ERLÄBBAR podcast. I am so excited about this episode, not just because of the topic that we're going to talk about, but because it has been quite some time since we last seen each other and really seen each other, because the last episode was simply audio. And I told you in the last episode, your girl will figure something out to make me visible again, because I feel like when you listen to stories of mine, you gotta see my face telling it, you gotta see how I articulate. The visual is just something so packed with volume, with magnetism, with might, and I need this. And so you might be wondering, why is she so damn crisp? I know. It's because your girl got a camera, okay? I have this vlogging camera now, which is from Sony. And I feel like a real-ass YouTuber now because I'm looking at my damn camera right now. What? So in the further future episodes, you're gonna see me again. Yeah, it's just what we need, you know what I'm saying? I hope you are well. I hope life is treating you good. I hope Gemini season is just everything you've wished more and more. I'm not even getting into this because otherwise we'll not talk about what I have planned for us. I have bought myself a little booklet, and the title of this booklet is A Book of Virtual Inspiration. And my art has been streaming from me, let me tell you. Usually I might script an episode on my laptop or on my, iPad and just draw the things. Now that I have a booklet, I feel way more grounded because that technology, it just does things to me on my ADHD brain. And suddenly I find myself watching a YouTube video. But anyway, I'm so excited to get into our conversation today. But first off, I want to present to you my little drink that I got today. It's a whole ass bowl. So what we're sipping today is a matcha, because I've been craving that of late so much. And there's actually a fun story to it. So one of my best friends, she was in Copenhagen last week, and she sent me a snap of her drinking a matcha, and they did not serve it in a glass or in a cup or whatnot, but they served it up in the whole fucking matcha bowl. And I love this so much, so I was like, you know what? For this next episode, I anyway will be craving a matcha, and I will be serving it in a bowl, in my matcha bowl, and it's the best thing ever. I'm so joyous about that. And it's so yum. It might be a little bit unconventional and inconvenient to hold, but the experience of drinking my matcha out of a bowl, 10 out of 10. Can absolutely recommend. I see myself spilling this. Okay. I have to gather my wits because this conversation today is so close to my heart, to my pulse, to my fire, to like everything in me. And I do want to shift our conversations more kind of in that direction anyway, because it's just something that I burn for. And I really had to script that shit out, or at least attempt to, because I could go in every freaking direction when it comes to this topic, but I have to kind of start somewhere, and I have to contain myself a little bit. Okay, just bits and pieces, Eileen, just bits and pieces. It's what all good artists need. Structure. Okay, this is just, even if you think you don't, baby girl, baby man, you need it. Okay. So without further ado, the topic that we're going to talk about today is body. I know. I'm so excited too. And I want to start off with talking about the power of body and just ease us into the topic a little, because there is so much to unpack. It is so important in my life and just in my art. Most of the things in my life are inspired by body, either my own or the bodies of nature or other bodies, everybody's. So yeah, we're just gonna start and ease our way into it. And I kind of want to start with a little story to like give you a glimpse of where I'm coming from and how that has like brought me to where I'm at today, just for you to have a little bit of context. So I have come into connection with my body through how probably most of us are being taught or have been modeled by society, by our peers, by our parents, however. So it was just this kind of flesh suit that just tags along and sometimes has issues, and then you like take care of them, and that's about it. And you should exercise it. You should, put healthy stuff inside that you can uphold your health and like your energy. But other than that, it has been just a thing that lives with me, and that I have to like kind of take care of. But there wasn't really much an emphasis on it, right? And when I did my apprenticeship as a nurse, I learned a lot about like the anatomy of the body, the biology, and that was very interesting. And that got me into a place of viewing my body as something that I could work with, which I think came from a genuine place. But it started to develop in a way that I think many women can relate to too, because suddenly I realized, especially also, becoming an adult and being confronted with my body being viewed as something, I started to develop a body dysmorphia. So what that essentially is, or how I experience it, is that I didn't see my body as what it is, but I saw what I thought I saw. So I distorted the image of my body in a way that wasn't real, but gave me a sense of control over it. And with that motivated me to optimize my body with the sole intention to look better, right? To be more attractive, to be more magnetic, to look fitter, look healthier. And social media coming right up there in that alley. I just wanted to look good, hot girl summer all year long. I started to go obsessive with the gym. Like I excessively and obsessively went to the gym. I drove my bike to school for an hour. I had school until like 4 or 5. I went home with the bike again for an hour. I drove down with my bike to the gym for like 20 minutes. I hit the gym 2 hours, drove back home with the bike, and then I studied, and then I went to sleep, and that rinse and repeat nearly every day of the week. And it gave me a sense of control. It gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me motivation, but my sole focus was on my looks. And then as like life got on, I started to get into spirituality and, body and energy and emotions and all of that. But I got way more into like what mindset does to you, right? I was obsessed with my mind because my mind has been very loud. My mind has been very critical. My mind has been really over the place. And I started to recognize that my mind was kind of ruling my life in a way. I could like sense it. Couldn't really put a name to it essentially, but I started to get into practices that helped or should help me calm my mind. And I started to indulge in like affirmations, just Abraham Hicks, the OG deal that people get into when they kind of get a first touch into spirituality. And my intention was like waking up and like being aware and creating my own reality and all of that. But shoulders up, that was the deal. And then further on, I started to share things. I started to express myself. I went on travels, and in those two very intense travel experience, my body burned out in a way that I can't even like articulate. But I was on my dregs, like I was in zero level. And I realized then on my travels and while coming back that like, yes, my mind was wild, but I have completely overseen one of the most vital aspects in all of the things that I wanted to get to know of and explore and expand into, and that is body. In that time, I've completely overridden all my like physical, emotional, and somatic boundaries in an attempt to escape, to create something that I thought was like my way out of society, and like to create my own life and in my ways, and to build a business and all of that. And even though it was a hard time, and it was even harder, like decompressing from that and like integrating what of that happened. But I'm very grateful for this very painful, very intense experience, both of them, because they truly showed me that your mind is one thing, but your body is that one thing that you can't live without. If there is no connection to your body, you won't be able to go in the direction of your visions, in the direction of what you want. And I didn't even know what I wanted because I was so disconnected to my body. But we'll get into that. And so that really put like the brakes for me, and I had to slowly but surely start to build up that connection and start to really tend to my body to like come back to life and to like function again, because I was so depleted. There was no art in me. There was literally no life in me. There was no jokes in me. I lost my joy. I lost my zest for life, which I feel like is one of my best qualities, honestly. I'm like such an excited person and such a joyous person. And I live and I love and I feel so much. And I express so wildly. And that is really what makes me who I am, right? But I completely lost all of that. And I realized I lost all of myself because I lost that connection to my body, because it is the seat of my soul. You know, we hear this little cliche of like, your body is the seat of your soul. But no, for real. For real. It is that. And let me give you a little picture for that. In order for you to come and enter this plane of existence, right? To enter this world, to enter this life, to become an individual expression of source, divine, however you want to call it, essentially just to become human. You had to go through a body, essentially true too, but you have to come through a body. And in order for you to manifest as yourself in this life, a body had to be built in order for you to enter this world. And then you again had to like come through that body into this world. So just thinking about that gives just so much emphasis in a way. And this is just one experience. This is literally just your birth and like your creation. How vital the body is to our existence, because it's where everything starts. It's where everything came from. It's where life started, right? It's where your life started. And at the end of your life, you will pass through your body up into wherever, right? And what will stay is your body, because it's earthbound. Okay? So body is at the center in every little marking of your life, right? And I started to realize that, and I started to really get into somatics, and my dance practice picked up in that time in ways I can't even put into words. I started to move my body again, but not in a obsessive gym rat kind of way. And what started for me is that I suddenly was able to feel again. Because in that time on my travels, all I felt was intensity in like many different flavors. But I started to feel myself again. I started to feel my softness. I started to feel the glimmering of my joy. I started to feel the little fireworks and bubbles of my excitement, okay? I started to feel the vastness of my grief. I started to feel the fieriness of my love. And all those little bits and pieces started to come back. And on that journey, I started to feel like myself again. Because I really came alive again through my body. Because I started to tend to not just my flesh and bone and blood, like my physicality of getting good rest, eating healthy, and just what my body needed, right? And exercising and being outside, but I also started to work with the somatics. So with my senses, with movement that wasn't necessarily to like build muscle or whatnot, but more for expression, for feeling. I started to work with my emotions and work through all that shit that happened, you know? Whatever was coming up, I started to like land back into my body. And I would say, and this is the first time I'm like thinking about this, but I would say this was like my second birth. It really was. It felt like everything before that, before like that shift, was me just like being very much mental and like, and I had a good time, you know? This is what has been shown. This is what has been lived for me and what I have seen. Until I like, yeah, my body told me this or nothing. And I then knew what nothing felt like. I was like, no, thank you. I will go that way. And now, in all those years past, it's been like 3 years since that travel. But these 3 years, I really started to build up that connection to my body, to my flesh, yes, but also to my emotions, to my expression. And what I started to realize is that the body has for me become an access point to myself, and not to just like me feeling like myself, but I started to understand what I needed in maybe moments of despair or disconnection or sadness or grief. I started to learn how to hold myself, or maybe in other words, I started to allow my body to hold myself in the ways that I needed when emotions would come up, when intensities would come up, when my mind was going crazy. And that has brought me to a point where I feel so embodied. And yes, I did fancy practices, but I also just gave my body and myself space to be together with no external influences or whatnot. There's so many endless hours of silence, endless hours of presence, endless hours of dancing, endless hours of dancing, of movement, of expressing. And it has connected me to my art, to my sensuality, to my sexuality, to my feeling of aliveness, to my purpose, to more of who I am, to my curiosity to life, to my surrender to life, and all of that through my body. And I think I have adapted kind of a perspective that I do a lot of that in my life. I like take two things and relate them to each other and see how they intertwine and interlock, and how one thing is actually also being reflected in the other thing, right? And one of those is that I related dance slash body to life, right? If I have difficulty surrendering in a moment of space and time, I go to my dance floor and I take that feeling into dance, and I start to move through that maybe tension or whatnot in my body, and like dance and move in a way of like, what would surrender feel like? And I kid you not, but it works every freaking time. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes a half an hour. Sometimes it takes 2 days. Maybe a dance practice today and a dance practice tomorrow to like really go into this and to like, oh, you know, feel that opening up. But relating your body to life is key. It's just key. And I'll deepen into that. But first, let me check my notes, because this is like, what, 10 minutes? And I covered everything that I wanted to say, okay? But let me see where we're heading from here. Okay, let's carry on that analogy, actually, because this is a nice little point with like body being equal to life in like experience. So much in life is about allowing, right? Letting life show you, letting life teach you, surrendering to the flow of life and what life has in store for you. I feel like, yes, there are so many aspects where your choices and your intentions can really shape the structure, the tonality, the texture, and the expression of your life. But essentially, it all starts in body, right? What you can't embody can't manifest. That's just it. So when we're talking about letting life in, allowing life to show us, getting in alignment with life, getting in alignment with the universe and like your intuition and all of that, the same is going with your body, right? It's allowing the feelings to be present and not repress them, because body will just pile that shit up until there comes an opening and it shoots out whatever it can to process. Right? This is what our bodies are for. It's to experience, to like take in life and to keep that flow going of taking in life, giving out that life, that expression of life. And if that's crying, if that's screaming, if that is dancing wildly, if that's laughing hysterically, if that is utter softness and stillness, if that is silent tears tracking down your cheeks, whatever expression it might want to take. But this is like what I use to view this interconnectedness of life and body, and that too relates to nature. The analogies that I have, the relations that I make in my mind and in my body to like nature, I could write a book, okay, and maybe I will, but not today. But so this is kind of the way I'm flowing nowadays, okay? And we've been talking about body now, and I have been sharing that it has been very hard for me living in a space where I was just like existing in shoulders up, so really just riddled by my mind and ruled by my mind in that sense. And something that has helped me understand what the dynamic is between mind and body, which helps me a lot in navigating feelings or intensities happening in life or inside myself, is that I see that the mind is our processor, right? It is the watcher, in a sense. It is the one trying to keep us safe. This is like the number one thing that our mind has been doing since way back in evolution. And we have evolutionarized our mind in like the way society has evolved for it to be very dominant. This is not, you're not lacking or you're not doing something wrong. If your mind is very loud, if your mind is very intense and very, you know, it always wants something from you and always has something for you. This is literally how we have been evolving up until this point, and what has been like indoctrinated into us. So there's nothing wrong, but your mind is being informed by your body. Okay? Your mind is not this thing simply just existing, but it is the counterpart or part of the body. And I like to use the elements as an analogy here, is that body is earth, obviously. Feeling is water. Fire is like spirit, it's passion. I also count love into that. And your mind is air, right? It can go wherever you want. Your mind and your mindset has such power because it allows us to channel our energy with intention. And wherever our attention goes, this is where energy flows. Okay? But our minds, as the air it is, it needs an anchor. And that is body. It needs that connection in order to hold that focus, to stay in alignment, and not just like in your practices and whatever you're doing, but in the mundane, you know what I mean, of life. It needs that connection. And so mind is being informed by body because the body is the one experiencing life. Mind is not experiencing life. Mind is getting information from the body and is categorizing these informations in ways for you to process all the impulses that you are experiencing with your senses and through like your feeling, and is always, you know, up to date to detect a threat and to help you protect yourself from that, to keep you away from that threat. Exactly. So that helped me understand the kind of roles body and mind have. Because, for example, you are maybe in a throng of people, okay? This goes to all my social anxiety girls and boys. Maybe you're in a throng of people and your body is starting to feel unsafe. Your body is missing spaciousness. Your body is getting so many impulses from like all the talking, all the speaking. Maybe people are bumping into you. Then you might also worry about how you're being perceived. You feel a little anxiousness coming up. And all of that information goes up to the brain, to the mind. So imagine mind being this. And body is signaling, I am anxious, I am uncomfortable, I feel restricted. All of those feelings go up and mind is like ding, 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 danger. And it's sending all of the little impulses that it can for you to get out of there. So it makes you even more anxious. So it makes you even makes you hyperventilate, to like escape, flee, leave, right? That is just one example. And I'm not trying to like put all of the people with social anxiety, because it's a real thing, into one box. But this is a way of how I experienced that and how I kind of made sense of it through the lens of body. So you are not in a threatening situation, okay? You are not. You're in a throng of people, maybe having a freaking good time, you know? But your body is just not feeling like that. Your body might just want to sit by a tree. Your body is overwhelmed with the stimulation happening. But your mind can't decipher like a real threat from like just an uncomfortable feeling, maybe. It will immediately give you a response of danger, of threat, and make you feel that way to get out, you know. Adrenaline will come up, make you more alert, and then you feel even more because you're more alert and your senses are just like on 110% of taking everything in even more intensely. And then you just like freeze fawn, or however you want to just run away. And that is okay. But this helps, or helped me understand, what is actually going on. So what I learned to do in that situation is that I don't have to tell my mind, hey guy, it's all right. It's all right. We good. That won't help, because if body is still feeling that hypervigilance, mind can't chill, right? Because it wants to protect. And in that moment, I might remove myself from the situation. And if I cannot, maybe in an airport, in a line, waiting to get into a plane, I can just be like, you guys, wait for me. I need 5 minutes. But I go into my breath. I go into my body. I ground. I go to that feeling. I breathe with it. I acknowledge it. I tell myself, I understand. This is a lot to take in, but I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. And when body starts to relax, mind is more likely to relax too. It might still be a little bit nervous because it just perceives the threat and is not yet sure if it's completely over. But because body is starting to relax, mind can too. Okay? And when it comes to your body, I see how those different archetypes are living in your body at the same time simultaneously. You have your little one, the small child version of you. You have the maybe present you, the kind of maiden type you that is also very excited about this life. You have the mother, and you have the crone, you have the sage, right? And in moments of like distress, sometimes body responds from a happening that happened as a child. Or just your body is like, help. And what it needs is just, hey, it's all right. I know this is really uncomfortable. There's so many people, aren't they? So many voices. It makes me nervous too. But it's all right. I got you, okay? You are safe. This is all right. And then maybe even being like, in front of the plane, but like, you know what we're going to do now? We're going to slowly get into the plane, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to breathe a little, and then we go flying. That, I'm already more chill now. But essentially just signaling your body the safety, bam, and your reality changes. What was anxiety before can be like a calmness, be transformed into a calmness. And here is the point where I want to get into of the power of body. Let me take a sip for that, because this is so good. Well, I didn't spill putting it down, but I definitely spilled while drinking. I'm such a fairy. I'm just like so clumsy sometimes. Okay. The power in body lies in your connection to it. And let's go a little bit deeper here. If you are disconnected to your from your body, you will forever be riddled by your mind. Your awareness will get up here and try to protect, right? Because you have no anchor, you have no ground to settle into. There can only be like a kind of false safety happening in your experience. You are still completely at the mercy of whatever your body is experiencing, but you are not able to handle that, right? You are more prone to distract yourself, to numb yourself, to escape yourself and your experience when you are not in body, when this connection is not solidified, is not the foundation of your being. And you're powerless in that sense, because then you are living and experiencing life solely on your survival instincts. And this is what we have learned, right? It's not something bad. I don't see that like society or like the Matrix has brought us to this place and be like, they just want us to be confused for a living and anxious and fearful. And yes, many aspects of the world right now paint this picture and point towards that and make us fearful for a living, because yes, it is easier to control people if they are not rooted in their power and grounded in their bodies and in their lives and just follow whatever people are saying, because they are trying to look for safety outside of themselves, right? Because they can't, or they haven't yet cultivated it within their bodies. So they're more prone to follow whatever people say is the safe way or the good way or the best way. Maybe to be liked, but mostly to be kept safe. So when people start to get into their bodies, they start to detangle themselves from that false safety that is being created, because this is just how the world has evolved. Point period. Maybe people are understanding this in the higher whatever and are like using this for their good, but I can also imagine that these people, they just really know how to play the game. And they're doing it for their own benefit. But this is where life started for me. This was my second birth. Now, I have a sense of control. I have a sense of belonging. I can cultivate that safety within my own self and don't need to be looking around at anybody else to give me that sense, which could never beat the sense of safety that only I can create inside my body. What this connection also does is you start to learn more about your blueprint, more about your operating system. And that is not just like energetics, but like really real things that can bring you further in life. For example, I'm a very interesting astrological mix, in my opinion. My Virgo is Sun, my Moon is Gemini, my rising is Aquarius. So I am like always dancing at like the threshold of structure and complete abandonment and freedom and frolicking and just, going for the experience. And yes, astrology also helped me understand that, but I could only really understand that wisdom once I took it into my body and understood, okay, I need structure. This is vital for me. It gives me a sense of safety. It gives me a sense of belonging. It gives me purpose. And I also need novelty. I need spaces where I can just create when there is nothing I need to achieve, right? All these little aspects I learned through actually connecting to my body and just understanding the feeling of when I got too routine, too structured. And I was like, but I thought I needed this. And then I go into a body and mostly in dance. And I'm like, oh, I need structure, but I need structured spaces where I can play. That didn't just come as an epiphany. That wasn't a person, on TikTok or Instagram being like, this is what you need to do. And I was like, okay, I understand myself now. No. If you want to understand yourself, if you want to get to know yourself and with that your power, connection is the way. Is for everything the way, but especially in this. The camera just died, but luckily I do have another set of batteries, so back on track. What I was saying is that you become like a lover. You start to get aware of the tells, of the little symptoms and expressions that gives you information on what you need. And most of the time, it's any sort of connection. I can bet you on this, okay? But to bring and anchor this home, and why I see once again how body is power, is because through our bodies we get to know ourselves / we get to understand who we are at the core, at the beginning, okay? Because your mind can only tell you stories about yourself that it has learned. And that is not that your mind is lying to you, it's just what it knows. And many of those stories might be false. They're no longer up to date. They're no longer what you believe in or what you want to believe in, right? But body can never lie. Body will always tell the truth. It will tell the truth unfiltered, raw, uncensored, with edges and a lot of darkness, and some days with a lot of brightness, with a lot of bubbles, with a lot of colors and whatnot. But this is what makes life interesting. This is what is inspiring. This is what the artist in me is just like hot and horny for. It's like, give me the diversity, give me the full freaking spectrum. So with you connecting to that, you suddenly start to understand what you need, what you desire, where you want to go in life, what is calling you. You'll be able to communicate better to others because you're aware of your needs, of your desires, of your values, because you start to connect to them. I believe that, yes, you can fundamentally change your life by changing or shifting things in your blueprint, in your body, by moving through beliefs that are that are outdated and no longer in alignment with the life you want to create. Like, you can customize, but that's it. You are who you are. And body allows you to strip of all things that are inauthentic, no longer resonant, not in alignment with who you want to be, who you truly are, and who you should and shall and want to become. Body will bring up these feelings. Body will tell you. And the journey of mine with body really started to kick off once I started to see my body as my ally. And that ally was a pain in the ass sometimes. Sorry, but you sometimes are. But it's this loving pain in the ass. Like, girl, I'll give you freaking rashes that itch like mad if you're abandoning yourself. And that's for real. If I have moments where life gets, life is lifing, and I really get into the throng of things and maybe have multiple responsibilities at my job, in my life, doing the very humanly mundane things, and I haven't carved out as much time as I would need for my body, which happens, okay? That just happens. My body will tell me. First, it will start with feelings, but feelings are, more easily to be put aside and be like, yeah, I'll get to that, okay? When all the 250 to-dos are done, we'll spend some time together. Nah. Body won't tolerate that. It'll give me rashes and I'll be itching and I'll be like, okay, I get you. Really now. It's now. The time is now. Uncomfortable, but body is helping me redirect. It's telling me this is what I need. And I will give you everything and more if you make space for that. And we can connect with that and to that and together. Your body is your freaking ally. And it's fun times once you arrive there in that understanding. Because body, even though it is kind of solid, or it looks like it, your body and the experience that you can experience in life and just with yourself are freaking endless. You can go wherever, okay? You can take joy as example and just go explore that shit. Or sensuality, your eros, your sexuality. You can go everywhere. It's unlimited. You have access to everything. And I mean, like, the infinite everything. And isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting? That's something that I'm so curious about and I get excited about. I'm like, I want to know. And not in a sense of like, I want to know, I want to get to the destination, and then I want to know all the secrets of the universe, that I don't have to move a single finger because I'm in complete and full alignment with who I am and who God made me to be. That was very dramatic. I excuse. But don't need this much. No, it's actually very freaking interesting. And with going into body, with going into sensation, with going into your senses, with going into the somatics, you get to know more about yourself. And isn't that freaking fascinating? Yes, you'll be able to like connect deeper with other people too. We're not even getting into that conversation because that's a complete different one. You'll be able to open up more to life because you're opening up yourself more to your own self, to your own experience, to your own feelings. Because I believe that God put us here and made us individual because that is the essence, that is the play of life. We all know we are one, most of us. We are all one. We came all out of the Big Bang or whatever you want to call it. We are all the same energy, essentially. Our molecules are arranged differently and individually and uniquely. And that's fun times because you are the only one experiencing this set of energy. There is no one out there that is a complete and utter same replica of you. Why not explore that shit? Why not experience with it? You might trip, you might fall, you might stumble, but you'll always get closer to who you are and to this life and what life wants to flow through you, and not just in a way of like expressing it and sharing your gift, but just for your own enjoyment. Because God was curious, like, what if I put this and this and this and that together and then go live that? What? And I'm really grateful that I have come to this place of curiosity because it saves my ass. Whenever I get a little bit too grumpy and stagnant, I'm like, well, what else can we see here? What could we like picture in this scene, you know? What else could we do? Or then I go and dance and then I go in body, and there's so much that can be moved, okay? But to me, the foundation of our being starts here, starts in our bodies. And if we are not caring for ourselves in that way, are not open to experience ourselves in all of it, and we're learning, and God, so I'm still learning, and God, I still repress sometimes, and God, I still brush away sometimes, but that is me learning, and that is okay. But if we don't do that, well, you'll never feel fulfilled in your life. And I'm sorry to break it to you. You'll never. And that's a sad thing because there's so many people living just from the shoulders up, and that is their life. But there is so much more. You can reach a level of fulfillment through that. Yes, obviously. You can satisfy the mind in some ways. But you will never experience like the depth and like the infinity of sensations, of experience, if you're not in body in some way or the other. Amen. Amen. Let me check my notes if there's anything more, but I feel very complete here. Last little words. You have the power to create an environment in which your body can thrive in. You know on some level what serves your body, what feels good for your body. It doesn't have to be something spiritual or whatever practice. It can be healthy food. It can be regular movement. It can be indulging in your creativity or in music or in dance or whatever it is, in a hobby. And you can start build up that foundation by engaging with yourself in spaces that make you feel good. Then you can start to expand in those spaces. You can start to learn from yourself. And then you'll take a practice and suddenly it becomes your life. And life will always throw shit at you, and life will always shake your foundation for you to grow, for you to evolve, for you to adapt of what more there is. Don't take it personally. You can do this. And it's way more easier if you do this with your ride or die, your ally. My favorite practices to end this that I do to connect to my body. You can do it in everything. You can connect to your body while cooking. You can connect to your senses. However, things I really do enjoy is going to the gym. Oh, yoo-hoo. I love this shit. This is so good. I love feeling strong and I love getting stronger. Dance, obviously. This takes most of our life. This takes up most of my life and my days and my evenings. This is just my go-to experience. I take everything to dance. Dance is my god. I said it. I love that. Dance is my god. Today I'm realizing things about myself. This is insane. Second birth. Dance is my god. Jeez. I do stretching a lot, which is beautiful to like connect to discomfort, to the feeling of discomfort, breathing into it and relaxing into it. Yep, if there's shit happening in my life that's freaking uncomfortable, I'll go stretch a little. And I'm like, that's not too bad. Like me being in a complete split and just breathing through that. I can handle this. Breathing, breath. The connection of your breath and body is going to be another talk. Woo! This is really powerful. Chanting, singing, humming, rapping. I'm secretly a rap star. What else am I doing? Stillness. Meditation, but yes, with the mind being still and focused on that, but just also various different meditation techniques that I do that incorporate like body into the experience instead of just like, okay, I need to just focus and still my mind. Exactly. Going on walks, going into nature, hiking with my man, very bodily experience, especially if he pulls you up on this very steep hill. You'll feel the burn. And I think these are like my favorite and recent go-to little practices. You can do it in painting, you know, the brushes, baking, kneading that dough, whatever it is. You can bring body, you can bring sensation, you can bring feeling into it. And the more you start to connect to your body, the more your body starts to open up to you. Because it's like, she's actually interested, or he's actually interested. And that dedication and that openness too, it's the most rewarding thing, I tell you. It really is. Life really starts anew once you descend into your body. And that's my high note for now. And let me take the last sip of my matcha bowl. I feel very embodied now just talking about it. My body's like, yeah, girl, tell him, because we're on such good terms. We're so good together. Look at us. And I adorned myself with the little nice little dangly dangs I like. Oh, matcha, because my body loves it. Spilling on myself just because I can. I hope, that was a little off tone. I hope that I could like make it a little bit more curious about the topic of body and maybe created some access points for you to get more curious about it. Because if there is one thing I want to do in this lifetime is to simply help people connect to their bodies in whatever way that they need, that they want. Because it's the most miraculous thing ever. The most powerful, the most empowering, the most inspiring. And living from that place has really flipped my life around, and in a good way. So I really hope and wish for everybody to experience a similar movie like I do. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for listening. I am excited for the next episode. I'm excited that you're gonna get me in crisp freaking quality from here on. And I'm really excited to see you at the bar next time. Cheers. Cheers to my lads and lasses. Lassies. Is it called lassie? I think it's lad and lassie. Or a lass. Anyway. Cheers to my lads and lassies. And I love to have you listening. Bye.